let us move to our special guest for today.
Yay, Jonah.
A black, white, and blue in the South exclusive.
Wow.
We welcome Jonah Cooley to Black, White, and Blue in the South. Thank you for showing up today.
Yay.
Thank you for my CNN introduction music.
Exactly. And if I'm not mistaken, you said this is your first podcast ever.
This is.
You have been on the news, though, you said.
When I was in high school, I did robotics, and my robotics team was on WYFF News 4 out of Greenville.
Oh, cool. Cool. Don't you love that voice?
I do.
He's supposed to be in front of
Why
a
do you
mic.
think I had him say the entire alphabet and not have him stop? That may be all we release today.
That's it. Just the alphabet.
That's the
Exactly.
whole podcast.
Jonah's version.
So, Jonah, why did we invite you to our show today? Tell us a bit about yourself and what people may find relevant to the type of topics we talk about.
Well, I'm currently serving as the executive committeeman for the Abbeville County Democratic Party.
Amen.
And as I understand it, at 20 years old, I am currently the youngest member of the South Carolina Democratic Party Executive Committee.
Cool.
And very recently, I'm the founder and president of Lander University College Democrats here in beautiful Greenwood, South Carolina.
That's fantastic. I'm having too much fun with the soundboard. I may go solo with this show. Me and the soundboard.
Okay. Yes. Bill, you're going to have me not say okay and yes.
Not.
I want to stop. You asked me a question earlier and I just nodded and you didn't catch it.
No, I did miss that. I did miss that. Jonah, I don't even know where to begin with you. Actually, I do know where I want to begin with you.
Okay.
Because we actually go back quite a few years. This is not the first time we've talked or met each other.
Right.
And I don't even remember how we met, but I do know you showed up to one of our Greenwood County Democratic Party meetings and gave a speech that was one of the first, if not the first, that ever elicited a standing ovation. We don't give standing ovations. We give polite applause. But a standing O, we've never given that before. And I'm going to play a little clip of your speech from back then, and so people can get an idea of why we're excited to have you today. So here's Jonah back in 2024.
In order to win this battle, we have to recruit young people in this country. I don't know how to break it to you. Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi are not Benjamin Button. They're not getting any younger. We have to be able to win over young people in this country, but more importantly than that, we have to get them to understand, why does government affect them? Why does it matter for a 15-year-old to even care what's going on in the government? And as part of that, we can't win them over with some sort of an idealistic reminder of a past that they're too young to remember. They don't know what the 1960s were like. They don't remember LBJ or JFK or MLK or anyone like that. They weren't alive then. I wasn't alive then. And we also can't win over young people with candidates that they have no way of relating to. It's hard getting a young gay black woman to vote for an old straight white man. I will admit that to you. But we have to also be willing to show them a positive vision for the future of our country.
Wow, what was that like watching yourself with the emotional music
About
playing in the background?
40 pounds lighter and with gel in my hair and that I don't wear anymore. Well, the funny thing about that speech was I got the video back from you about a week or two later, I think. And the whole speech was essentially about, it was right after the debate between Trump and Biden. And so a lot of the speech was dedicated
that was a dark time.
Yeah.
why you should still vote for Joe Biden, even though I know you really don't want to anymore.
Yeah.
And I got the speech back from you. It was Sunday, July 21st, when I got the speech back. And as I am uploading it to YouTube, I get a notification on my phone that Joe Biden has dropped out of the 2024 election.
Wow.
And I said, okay, well, I guess I don't need to upload this anymore. need to write a whole new speech for Kamala Harris.
Well, so tell me how you got your eyes opened or interested in politics. I remember when I was in college, and to me, what little I paid attention to in politics was more out of humor or irony. Like we found jokiness in it. That was back during the Bill Clinton versus George Bush versus Ross Perot days. So that's when I was in college. And we were just kind of making fun of everything at that point as juniors and seniors in college. But you have an awareness that I don't see in many 18, 19, 20-year-olds. I mean, the fact that you knew Bill O'Reilly, right? And Let's Do It Live. I mean, you know, how many pre-20s know Bill O'Reilly, let alone that deep nugget?
Yeah.
Well, my dad worked in local government growing up. He was the county administrator in McCormick County, and then became the director of Abbeville County, and now he's the finance director in Edgefield County. So that was part of it. And then part of it also came from, as a little kid, I have an underbite, and so it gave me some speech problems. I had a little bit of a lisp and some other things. So I would watch the news, and I would start mimicking, and that's also why, you know, I'm born and raised in South Carolina, don't have that thick of an accent. I would mimic the way they talked on the news in order to overcome a lot of that stuff. And so the way I always tell that story is it did two things. It made me aware of what was going on, and it also gave me the ability to sort of empathize with people who felt like they didn't have a voice or their voices were being taken away.
Would you say your family in general was a Democratic or liberal-leaning family?
Absolutely not.
Oh,
My parents
interesting.
met at Erskine Theological Seminary.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
And they are through and through Southern Baptists, but they are not Trump Republicans. My dad, the first person he ever voted for, this shows how old my dad was when I was born, was Ronald Reagan, was the first person he ever voted for. And he left the presidential ticket blank last year
Wow.
because he said, I just can't bring myself to vote for someone like that.
Yeah.
And so they were definitely still parents who let me sort of gauge what I thought and not just adopt whatever they felt.
Which was important.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which
Are
was
you an
important.
only child, or do you have siblings?
I have two older sisters.
And what are their political leanings, if you don't mind sharing?
The oldest one is also more to the right, and then the middle one is probably even further to the left than I am.
Oh, no kidding. Okay. Well, it's a mixed family, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's good
But-
Thanksgiving
But
conversation.
I have that in my family, too. And
Yeah.
it turns out that I've got two younger siblings, and I would say my brother is similar in thought to me, but my sister probably is more central right. And then she's the youngest one, the baby of the family.
Oh, wow.
So you really can't put a formula to this as to
Yeah.
who is going to fall into what category.
Yeah, I think environment plays a role on that too. So even though you come up in one area, as you transition to different environments, whether it's work environments, like living arrangements, environments, whatever those are, I think that they have the ability to alter which way you lean even more. So just being able to come up in an environment that supports your growth, or whichever way you choose to lean, is what helps really
Absolutely.
craft the person. But I think it's I don't want to say this word because they're going to say this word might be on the list, but it's fluid.
Yeah. Now, so even though your father worked as, I guess he wasn't an elected official, he was more appointed by the government.
Right. He was selected by the county council.
Right. So although he was involved in a government role, I don't know, to most kids that would just be like, hey, dad's going to work and this is who he works for, but it doesn't equate to politics. Did you guys talk about politics in the household? Did you talk about Bill O'Reilly and what was going on in the government
I mean,
nationwide?
the news was definitely on a lot in the house, and we would talk about what was going on in the county. So there's a lot of things with local and state government and history that I have an interest in that definitely most people my age don't care at all about. But it wasn't the only topic that we had.
Okay. No, I get it. And I also want to thank you. It's been a couple of years, but Jonah showed up when I signed on to run for office.
Oh, cool.
When I went and declared and filled out the paperwork, Jonah was there in his cheerleader's outfit, some pom-poms. He even brought some friends with him.
Oh.
And him and quite a couple of other people were there to cheer me on when I went in and signed the dotted line.
That fits his personality.
And I don't know if you remember the first time we met or not.
No, I don't.
Chris Sally from Anderson
Yes.
had come to speak in Abbeville, and I came to that meeting, and you were there, and I realized, Bill Kimler, that name rings a bell. I was following you on Twitter. I had started following you in 2022 and didn't even realize that was you behind me.
Oh, wow.
Because that was when I really started to get into state politics.
So like I was a celebrity.
Yeah, exactly. I was
Yeah,
like, wow,
Bill.
I got to get an autograph.
Oh, man, I need to monetize that somehow. I'll sign an autograph for $5 after the show if you wish.
$5? Wow.
Yeah.
No.
So
Higher than my rate.
you've gotten involved with the Abbeville Democratic Party, and so that's where we met. And now you're one of their executive committee men. Have you gone to a state committee meeting yet?
I have been to 2 now.
And what's that experience been like? Was it you and a bunch of 50-plus-year-old people, and you filled out a place?
I mean, basically, we meet at the Rice School of Law in Columbia. It's the University of South Carolina School of Law. And executive committee members from all 46 counties are there. And I took one look around the room the first meeting I went to, and I said, okay, so I'm the youngest person on this committee. That's going to be something.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to get taken seriously to an extent with that. And probably very hard to voice any opinions because oftentimes, and this is something that we could speak to a little bit as well, that sometimes the Democratic Party will say, well, we have to get young people involved, get young people engaged, but then don't want to listen to young people when we try to. And so it almost feels like the party and politics in general, a lot of political leaders just want to use young people as props to an extent.
Well, that's why you're here. You're a prop for our
Exactly.
show, right? We want to try to get into the right demographic.
We value you.
Need those
Jimmy
18 to 25-year-olds. And so you threw one in the chair.
Yeah.
I know what this is.
Yeah. It's a setup.
Yeah, exactly.
We filled our quota for the year. Now we're going to go back to some old people
I'm the
next week.
diversity hire. You going to
Yeah.
get Chuck Grassley in here
But,
next
but
time?
you say that you felt like maybe you were a token young person or you weren't taken seriously. Did you attempt to exercise your voice in that meeting, or did you hang back, being it was maybe your first time in that situation, just to more watch and learn?
I did a little bit. I talked about some of the things that I think the Democratic Party needs to do to engage young people, and I said, I'm just going to give my 2 cents worth. And I admitted, I obviously haven't been around as long as a lot of these people, so I might not have the experience, but I know what I've seen. And I know what I've seen being a Democrat in a rural area, in rural upstate South Carolina, where I'm one of very few Democrats, in a lot of my circles. So I just shared what I knew.
Well, what were some of the advice that you offered?
Well, one of the things I know we talked about, the sort of avoiding wokeness, and this doesn't go into that, but it's more so Democrats have started to talk a lot like graduate school professors. But with a lot of the words and phrases we use, we talk about people and don't talk to them.
Ooh,
and we
that's deep.
talk about issues and don't speak to the issue. So I know Governor Andy Beshear has talked about before, I've never known anybody who had a substance abuse disorder, but I have known people who had an addiction. I've never known anybody who was food insecure, but I've known people who were going hungry. And when we talk about these issues like they're not human issues, real human, raw issues that people are actually facing in their day-to-day lives, how do we expect those people to trust us to fix those problems if we're just treating it like a study?
Yeah. Most times they don't even know what we're talking about.
Exactly.
So it's about, like in communications in college, they'll teach you communications 101. It is, or even in high school, you got to know your audience.
Right.
So know your audience so they can pick up what you're trying to say. I think that's good. But I also want to tell you that I think that you being the youngest one, and I know you feel like this is foreign territory with being that executive commitment, but I believe that you're going to do well there, and I think they're going to listen. One of the biggest things that the Democratic Party has been saying for, seems like centuries, is that we've got to get the young people involved. I think they're at a point where they know, especially after this last presidential election, I think they're at the point now where someone is talking, they're going to listen and try to implement. So use your voice. Because here's what I'm thinking. Even if it doesn't turn 46 counties, if it turns 10 counties, that is going to show a favorable outcome at the next election. Keep using your voice.
Now, Jonah isn't just talking about getting young people involved. He's actively doing it.
Yeah.
And as he introduced himself earlier, he started the first ever, as far as I know, Lander University Democratic Party Club.
There was one at one time. I was told by the dean of my college that we had college Democrats and college Republicans, but both of them there was so much arguing going on, not between the Democrats and the Republicans, but within the groups, that they both ended up dissolving and forming what is now the Political Science Association, which is a nonpartisan group that accomplishes some of the same goals.
Well, I have to say, you kicked it off this year without any encouragement from anybody. You just went and did it. So kudos, and I'm always happy when people take initiative on their own. And I think you found some success, if I'm not mistaken.
We had, I think, 30 people show up to our first meeting.
Yay.
And then I believe we had 20 at our last meeting. And so we're doing great things later this month. We have Dr. Sylvia Wright is going to be coming to campus. I'm very excited about
Sylvia.
that.
Yeah.
And she's going to be speaking in LC 300, which is one of our lecture halls, because I'm guessing that's going to have a pretty high turnout.
Yeah.
And of course, she's fantastic and is 100% the real deal, and is going to make a great superintendent of education.
Now, I know that you have you admire Governor Gavin Newsom because your social media posts have mirrored what Newsom is doing when he's mocking Trump's own social media posts, and you've kind of adopted that means. Has that been successful?
When I asked one of the professors, will you be our faculty advisor? He said, I have one condition. You need to write all of your social media posts like Gavin Newsom.
So Jonah had one, and I'm going to quote him. It's all in caps, and he wrote, "We would like to thank the over 20 Lander Patriots who came to our first big, beautiful meeting yesterday. We completely filled LC 374, and we will fill it again at our next meeting on October 7th at 6:30. Soon, we will have more people than the very low-energy Ben Carson, who came to campus last year and possibly only had 4 people in attendance. Thank you for your attention to this matter." Exclamation point.
Well done.
I personally write all of them too.
All right, and
It's
I
the highlight
wonder,
of my life.
I wonder, is that going over the head of the people, or do they get it?
Some people it does, and then some people I think get it. I know my mom was like, when you say stuff in all caps, that means you're yelling. I said, it's a thing. It's a whole thing.
Exactly. I also found an article about you on Piedmont Technical College's website.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I did my research.
Yeah.
And you had completed some type of tuition-free coursework in a dual enrollment program. I don't want to get into details of the program, but they had an interesting quote that you kind of alluded to. It had Jonah Cooley overcame a speech impediment by watching the evening news on television and modeling his enunciation after the anchors and reporters. Do you see it?
That's it.
I see it.
Yeah.
It says,
Yeah.
nowadays the Abbeville High School graduate speaks in a smooth baritone.
Yeah.
Do you hear it?
Yeah.
I hear it. And can clearly articulate his plans for the future. So what are your plans for the future then?
I know what I've suggested, but I don't think he's listening to me yet.
I know what a lot of people have suggested. What has been suggested to me is a presidential run, and I think 2040 would be the first one I'd be eligible for. Right now, I'm studying public administration and public history at Lander University, and once I graduate, I'm planning on getting a master's of public administration and either working for a nonprofit or working in government,
Right.
being one of those dirty bureaucrats.
Now, we chatted a little bit in a group text yesterday about issues facing young people, and I had asked you to provide your top 3. What are the 3 things you feel most passionately about? I'm going to repeat your response. You wrote, my top 3 would be engaging young people, combating climate change and gun violence, and affordability.
Okay.
Now, I need to call out, that was cheating because your second issue was really 2 issues, combating climate change
It was.
and gun violence. That's like rubbing the genie's lamp and then making your third wish more wishes, right? So you can't
Yeah.
do that. So you snuck in 4, but we'll let you have it since you're our guest.
Yeah.
Which of those do you want to speak on here that you want to?
I'll
Tell you what I found interesting that was not on your list that I thought would have been, would be the Israeli-Palestine situation and the genocide in Palestine. Because I hear that a lot.
And that was actually something that we spoke about at our last meeting, which by coincidence was on October 7th.
Ooh, that was the 1-year anniversary or
And-
2-year anniversary.
And I started out by saying we did not do this intentionally. It just happened. We do it. We have biweekly meetings every other Tuesday, and it just so happened that that was the Tuesday it fell on. And so what I'll briefly say about that is when you block food and aid from coming into an area and you indiscriminately bomb civilians and you have high-ranking members of the Netanyahu government saying that the real strategy here is to remove the Palestinian people from that territory, that is a genocide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it should terrify every American to know that our government and our tax dollars footed the bill on this genocide.
Yeah.
You know, it was bad enough with Rwanda. I know people talked about how the Clinton administration should have done more, but this would be like if we were actively supplying them with those machetes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what we're dealing with right now. And then we've got a president who wants to turn the Gaza Strip into Trump Riviera.
There was a video clip that I saw. I wish I actually had it prepped because I didn't expect to talk about this, but there was a video clip of a Trump administration spokesperson. I don't know if he was the ambassador. I don't think he was. It was some other official, a name I didn't recognize. Mm-hmm. But he was standing in Tel Aviv with Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump by his side.
Yes.
And he was addressing a crowd, outdoor crowd, about the hostage release that was coming up and the deal that was struck. And as soon as he said, "I want to thank Benjamin Netanyahu," he was drowned out by boos from the Israelis in attendance in this outdoor event. Mm-hmm. And he couldn't get another word out.
Wow.
Every time he tried to open his mouth, he got loud boos from Israelis.
As he should have.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can just see where in history is going to remember everything that has transpired, and it's going to be against those who had enabled the situation as it was.
It's just another thing of me supporting that. I'm saying, you know, we are working, we as in they are working very hard to erase history.
Yeah.
But they are writing the same story again. So here's when we say history repeats itself, it really is. And they are going to try to hide what they're going to do again and again and again. This is ridiculous.
Now, you brought up gun violence, and I'll pick one topic for you. Let's talk about gun violence, because there was a headline just last night out of Fox News that there was a shooting with injuries, and the headline said, "at Lander University." Tell me what you know about that, and are you okay?
There was a
He's
shooting.
okay.
It was on, I think, the intersection of, I've heard either Reynolds and Durst or Reynolds and Cambridge. Or Durst in Cambridge.
Yeah.
So is
somewhere
that
in
at
area.
Lander University?
It's in the area of Lander, but it wasn't on the campus.
Correct.
And that's all that I really know about it. We all got an alert from LUPD, Lander University Police, about it. And that's all I really know at this time. And I don't think that any Lander students were injured. And from what I understand, it wasn't related to the college. They just felt it was important for us.
And I saw somebody I know put a comment under that Fox News post saying this had nothing to do with the university. It was off campus. You know, maybe it was a half mile, but you know, it has nothing to do with the university. It didn't involve university students. And that Fox News had put that headline together because it triggered the impression of a school shooting for clickbait.
Yeah.
Which is a valid argument.
Yeah.
So, okay, but you're okay.
I am. Yeah, I was at Taco Bell then.
Okay. I don't know what was more dangerous, being on Durst or being at Taco Bell.
That beefy 5-layer.
Yeah.
And we say that in jest so Jamil does not get us sued.
Yes. Allegedly.
So tell us what you want us to know, or your impressions on gun violence and what we should do about it.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we talk about a lot now is mental health with young people. I remember hearing once that the average teenager today has the same anxiety level as a psychiatric patient 50 years ago. And part of that, of course, is social media, technology, that we have cyberbullying now. We have social media has enabled more body image problems as well. But part of it also comes down to we now have a generation of people who were raised cowering in the corner of a classroom because they were practicing what they would do if someone came in with a gun. And checking all of the exits at the movie theaters in case a shooting were to take place. And it's to the point where you see a shooting happens and you almost think, oh, only 2 people? Because we've seen so many that have been shootings where 20 people have been killed, and we have government leaders who've refused again and again to address the issue. And instead, they'll point to mental health issues, or in the case of this recent shooting in Utah, they will try and make it into an issue of taking away transgender people's guns. Because the one thing that Americans love more than guns is discrimination. And that was the case when Ronald Reagan was the governor of California, and the only gun law that he passed was to take away guns from the Black Panther Party.
Yeah.
And so the gun issue is another one that we could really get into a whole topic here about big money in politics, where the NRA checks coming in is more important to a lot of our politicians than the lives of our citizens. The same thing could really be said of Gaza as well, that those AIPAC donations mean more to them.
Yeah, I agree with you about the NRA. Rank and file citizens who don't get money out of the deal are so strongly passionate about infringing upon their Second Amendment rights that they don't feel like training should be required, or that there should be background checks, and that it should be a free-for-all. They don't believe in red flag laws, where if you are committed or accused of a violent crime, that you should not have your rights taken away.
See, I think there's this whole mentality that the person with the most guns is the best person, like the biggest person, the safest person. And there's also this whole mentality of trying to convince people, the lowest of the low, that you have to make sure you protect what you own. And the only way that they see they protect what they own is through guns. It is who has the biggest guns, then that's the one that makes the biggest noise. And no one is really considering the attributes or the contributing factors to having those guns and not being trained. I don't think that people really have a problem with the training. I think people who are in opposition have a problem with being told what to do.
Yeah.
Like, just don't tell me that I need to have training, because I know how to use a gun. I've been hunting since I was 4.5 years old. It's an insult for you to make it look like I don't know. I think that's their biggest issue. If we were to say, have at it, maybe it would be different. But I think it's coming from, they feel as though someone is trying to mandate and force and push them into a direction that they don't feel they need to be told what to do, because they've been doing it this way for so long.
So, Jonah, as we wrap up our time directly with you, do you feel like you have a political future, or are you still weighing your options at this early stage? What do you envision 10 years from now?
10 years from now.
Okay, how about 10 minutes from now? What are you envisioning?
God.
Beefy 5-layer burrito from Taco Bell.
Not again.
Yeah, we'll all be envisioning that shortly if we hang around you.
Yeah.
I would say it depends on what God and my country need of me.
Yeah.
I was once asked by a reporter with the Press and Banner if I would ever run for president, and I said, I'll leave that one up to God and the American people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think also keep in mind, Jonah, that being a part of the political world takes so many different avenues. It doesn't have to be a candidate. So being able to find that niche and fill it so that what should happen does happen will be impactful as well.
What is it that you're majoring in your studies at Lander right now?
I am double majoring in public administration and public history. So it's technically both of those are concentrations. So the actual degrees are political science and history.
Yeah.
You say public history.
Public history.
Is there a private history that you could have majored in?
There is. That one's the one where we lock all the books. No. Public history is basically sort of, there's two parts to it. One is the study of how do we make history more accessible? And then the other part of it is how do we maintain local history, state history, oral histories. So it's basically
fascinating.
history for people who don't want to work for a college.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, that's deep.